All right, the property prequel, be in the know before you buy. So the Arcs Matt series, something fresh, something new. We are in the same studio, but shout out to Social Lab, the legends there. They've given us the new background. So it seems like we're in a new space, but I'll lift the lid and we're actually in the same spot, but just fresh. So in saying that, just a fresh idea. I've been having a lot of people just message and different questions, and I thought it'd be really cool to try and add as much value as I can in a short amount of time, but also hit some of the questions I get asked and not only be able to answer those, but also let other people in on the answers as well. So I thought, why not combine it all together in one Arcs Matt series? We put out a Q&A on my Instagram and socials early in the week, and I was really very overwhelmed and very grateful for the amount of people that sent questions. It just shows how many people want insight into this space of property, and we opened it up, even business, health, well-being. I think property alone is one part, but the holistic avenues that come off of property is all part of it as well. And I just feel I'm really willing to share as much as I can to try and add as much value as I can. So we've picked 5 or 7 questions. There was a fair few that got put in, but see if your one's one of the ones that is going to get answered. We're going to run this maybe a fortnight every month. We'll see how we go. And the whole purpose, as I said, is just trying to add value from a fresh take and from, just more casual from my point of view on what's happening and what people are wanting to know as well. And really grateful. We've got Jamila with us as well. So a bit of fresh energy in the room. So Jamila's the marketing manager at the Srama Group. One thing around Jamila, very good question asker. So I thought of no one better. And also she looks after a fair bit of our social media as well. So she gets the insight on all the questions that get asked. And she's like, Matt, you need to get a Arcs Matt series going. So here we are. It was a bit more of her idea more than anything. So Jamila, thanks for popping in.
Thank you, putting the heat on.
Putting the heat on. So I guess firstly, let's dive in. Let's keep it. I want these eps short, punchy, but just super value added. So let's see how we go. What question? I don't know too much on what's about to ask, but what was sort of some of the key questions you picked out?
So we had some amazing questions come through. I actually noticed a lot more on the personal side of things, which is great and a little bit different for you as well. We've got lots of property questions around that as well. So let's get straight into it, I say.
Let's do it.
So for our first question today, we've got, what's your opinion on having balance when scaling a business, and is it possible?
Oh, love it. Firstly, is it possible? Yeah, 100%. I remember when I was starting out and people would be like, oh, man, you're working a lot. And look, I love to work hard, don't get me wrong, but I also see some people, I'm like, man, they work hard. So I do the same to other people. What I realized though is you can't really, I guess, put a negative spin on someone's work ethic if they're genuinely enjoying it. Because at the end of the day, I love the saying, make passion your paycheck. And if you're doing something that you genuinely love that actually energizes you, you'll see the most successful people, I find, they've always got good energy. It's because they can do a lot of output and they can't keep still. And the reason is they're just actually loving what they're doing.
Yeah.
So do they have balance? Well, they're doing a lot of what they love. I think the negative spin on it is when maybe you two parts, you're doing things for the wrong reasons. That could be one. I know in this industry, in all industries as well, but I notice it in this industry, burnout's a big one because people are chasing things like the dollar, like the chasing transactions. And at the end of the day, that isn't going to make you fulfilled and happy. So what I think it starts firstly, what are your priorities in life as a person? Take career out of it, take your professional. What are your priorities? Like for me, I family is a huge one for me. I got values around my family and boundaries set on that. My relationships in my personal life, my health is obviously number one, and my career. I love it. I love what I do. So if I can fill all those buckets up, I feel I'm somewhat balanced. You know, someone from the outside looking in, like, oh, that man, he seems to be working a lot, but I'm doing what I love. But I definitely struggle at times with balance. When I say I struggle with balance, it's more when I feel I'm leaning in towards resentment into what I'm kind of doing. Yeah. So when it gets to those levels, like, all right, I've got to take a step back. Maybe I need more of family time, or maybe I need to go on a holiday, which I did recently, and that definitely helps recharge the battery. So do I think it's possible? Yes. Do I think people struggle with it? 100%, and I do as well. But to be able to scale any business, you have to go through the shit, the hard, no questions. I just feel, especially when you're starting out, those first few months and years, it is what it is. You gotta grind it out at the end of the day. So, I put in that all in approach, kind of thing with a lot of things I do. So, yeah, it at the start I feel sometimes it might not be balanced, but the key is always to look at what are your priorities across the board, and give them all a bit of love, because I think that's true balance is what are your priorities, and if a lot of it is based around work and it makes you happy, well, it makes you happy. But for myself, family, relationships, travel, all those sorts of things, got to make sure fill those buckets up. Then I feel balanced.
I think with you as well, you have just from seeing how you work and whatnot, you have a very good awareness of when those things need to, like you said, bring those in a little bit more, and focusing on filling up your cup with family and friends, just to make sure that you can keep going in the business industry.
Yeah, because anyone who's in business will know this. Anyone who's thinking of getting in a business, you'll realize this. It's so hard. So many up and downs. So when those downs hit, if you're not recharged and you're not balanced, man, you're out. You're tapping out 100%. So you have to be at a good level of balance and happiness to be able to push through the hard times, for sure.
Amazing. Great answer.
Thank you.
So we've got many more here. So let's get on to the second question. So a little bit more on the property side of things. So what suburbs do you recommend for buying development sites now?
Two parts. I'll go firstly just Australia-wide, and then secondly I'll dive into the Gold Coast, because obviously that's my expertise and I feel I can add a lot of value with that. But just general Australia-wide, look, if I was looking for a development site, I guess first thing is location does 80% of the heavy lifting, non-negotiable. And most developers are looking for ROI, return on investment. So knowing that, you really want to be developing in areas where, you're going to be making money. So why location does 80% of heavy lifting, that's where a lot of the demand is, and generally there's an imbalance on supply. So if I was a developer, I'd be looking for, firstly, knowing that location is number one. Secondly, looking what area, and this is, by the way, if you've got no budget, this is just like whatever, I'm taking into account whoever asks that doesn't have a budget, firstly. Looking at location, number one, supply and demand, find where a lot of the action is, or where there's a lot of population growth, employment growth, low vacancy rates, all those sorts of things. And then next to that is I think for developers as well, a key one is is the suburb or city, wherever you're thinking of, gentrifying? Is there an appetite for whatever product you're thinking of making on the back end? So location does 80% of the heavy lifting. That would be my number one. Density is important. So what I mean by that is there's differences between low density, there's height limits. I know on the Gold Coast there's pockets where, you could only build a certain height. There's somewhere you can go 30 meters high. So you really want to know those things. Obviously, experienced developers would know you got to have a good team, like town planners, people who are mixed in the industry. They would know all those things for sure when they're doing their due diligence. But if you just want to get into it, I think that's number one. Just understanding what all the rules, regulations. You got to look at the due diligence factors, flood zone maps. height limits. There's so many different things that you need to chat to, like a town planner or a buyer's agent who can help you, lead you to the right people, can give you in on a suburb. So that would be number one. For the Gold Coast, same thing, taking into account location does 80% of the heavy lifting. Blue chip, I always say the word blue chip. If you were to pick any area on the Gold Coast, it'd be within, I'd say, within a 500 metre to kilometre radius, probably 500 metre radius to the sand. Because a lot of the value and a lot of the demand for developer kind of stock is close to the ocean.
100%.
And what's close to the ocean is cafes, restaurants, transport. Everything you want. So I feel for developers, they're always thinking, what's on the back end? What will appeal to who I'm trying to sell these products to, whether it's units, duplexes, whatever. I think that's important. And the biggest one of all is, appealing to the market, not so much what you want as a developer, but understanding that where you're creating what you're creating, what is the market want? Because at the end of the day, I've seen like a developer who's coming on the coast. We actually interviewed them before, like Greyer. They've got a really good product. Their product was probably too good probably 10 years ago on the Gold Coast. But now the Gold Coast is gentrifying the appetite. There's people who can afford really high-end sort of products now. So you look at their stuff, they're doing stuff beachfront, they're doing stuff Gold Coast Highway, good zoning, view corridors where you can see the ocean because it's a high-end product. So if I was a developer, location does 80% of the heavy lifting. Focus on that. And most important is obviously do your due diligence because, I've seen a lot of developers go wrong as well. So hopefully that helps.
Definitely. That's some amazing information that you shared. And I feel like it would be very helpful as well. So let's get into the third question. So what have we got here? A little bit more back onto the personal side. So what is your ideal daily routine from AM to PM? I feel like this is a great one because you have a very structured and amazing morning and night routine. So
what do you reckon I should go specific or?
I reckon I think people want to know the deets.
The deets?
Yeah.
All right. I'll go deets. I won't take too long. Look,
yeah.
I'm a routine person. I love everyone's got their own way because one of my favourite mentors that I listen to a lot is like Alex Hormozy, and he's all against the routine. He just gets up and works and then goes to the gym and that. And not me. So I think firstly, just because I've got a routine or someone you look up to who's got a routine, that works for them. I think find what works for you and your lifestyle. I think it's hard to put any routine on someone. You don't know what their workflow is, what their situation. Do they have kids? I got no kid. I can do whatever I want anytime. So,
kids make a big difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Yeah. So you can't just copy someone's routine. But this is mine. I'm 32, no kids, no pets. So just being a mind. I think it will change when I have kids one day. But at the moment, one thing I'll firstly start. There was a book called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. I didn't read it. I always read book summaries. And I got onto the book summary, loved it, and then I looked up Hal Elrod on YouTube, and he shares his story, and then he goes into The Miracle Morning. And that changed my life.
So this is where it started.
It's where it started, yeah.
Wow.
I retired from NRL. I was used to my schedule done for me.
Yeah.
Struggled. I was like, what? I got no schedule anymore. Like I have to set up my own schedule. So when I peel it back, I think that's why I am so routine because my whole life was routine.
Very used
from
to
a young age, even with my dad having that militant style, which I just loved. I think it's ingrained in me. And then when I became a professional athlete, it's all you're at this time and doing all that. So I think it just carried over and I love routine. So for me, I read that book or understood the concept of the Miracle Morning, and he talks around savers, 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 savers. And Look it up. I'll try and remember it really quickly. S was solitude, I think. A was affirmations. V was visualization. E was exercise. R was read or learn, I guess. And then S was scribe, like journaling.
Love it.
Yeah. And all he did was input that into his own morning, and he was teaching people whether you got a 1 hour window or 6 hour window, incorporate savers in there. I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll do that. Took around a few months, and then I just come up with this nice flow that I was getting a lot of fulfillment out of. So at the moment, it changes, I'd say every 6 months, tweaks it here and there. But at the moment, I like to wake up about 4 to 4:30. If I get to bed on time, 4 o'clock. If I feel my body, I'll go to 4:30. But say 4 o'clock, first thing I always do. Look, I'll give super deets. I have a shot of olive leaf extract.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Really good for the immune system. And then I use a tongue scraper. Man,
really getting to the deep.
game changer. The tongue scraper, you scrape it and you see how much stuff is on your tongue. It's gross. So I just feel, you know, when you're sleeping and your mouth feels yuck. I don't know.
A good way.
It feels mad. So do that. Game changer next is cold shower. Yeah, I've been doing it 6 years straight.
6 years.
Haven't missed a morning to this
Did not know
day.
that.
So first 1 to 2 years in winter, I'd kind of finish on the cold because I was a bit, at the start. But yeah, I'd probably say 5.5 years straight, even including winter, straight off the get-go, bang, cold shower. Love it. Just gets the nervous system going. Then after cold shower, like to moisturize the skin. My mum, I don't know, ingrained in me from young. I always seen her moisturizing, and she's 62, I think now, and she looks, I reckon, 35. So moisturize the skin. I don't know, just hydrates the skin. Then I chuck my headphones in, and then I walk downstairs and then put on a podcast. And this has been a big one because my brain hasn't absorbed anything yet. I try, I'm getting better, but I try really hard not to jump on socials, not to jump on work, not to jump on WhatsApp. And key thing that helped me was turning all the notifications off. And so I can't even see them before 8 o'clock. And what that does is my brain's fresh to sponge some good stuff. So yeah, just listen to some really, really good, podcasts, whatever I'm feeling, whether it's property, business, health, wellness, whatever. I'll really absorb that whilst I make a smoothie. And I think I need to post. Yeah, you'll probably see it come out soon, actually, because I always put little bits on my smoothie here and there. People are like, well, send me your recipe. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to do a video on it. So that will come out. But I've developed this smoothie that goes with me everywhere. My blenders I got family in Brisbane. I got the ingredients up there. I go overseas and I bring my blender and I find the ingredients over there. So always morning smoothie just to get the engine going. And then, then hit the gym, exercise for about an hour. So that includes a bit of mobility to start, and then training, and then core. I always finish on a bit of core, and then finish that, and then go to the beach most mornings, and have a dunk there. I mean, I'm grateful I get to live on the Gold Coast, but I just feel that little bit of nature hit quickly in the mornings, just unreal. And you live on the Gold Coast, so like spot.
It's different.
Oh, it's a spot. Like, it's amazing. So just a bit of gratitude for that. And then I got about a 10-minute, just a yoga flow that I developed. Obviously, I used to play sport. I had a lot of injuries, and that's how that just came a habit. I was getting really bad back and hips and all those sorts of things. And then, that's really helped my body feel better basically every single day. So that's a 10-minute yoga flow. And then I meditate, usually just sit in the sun there at the beach. It's beautiful. And that's something I'm really passionate about, is meditation and mindfulness, and setting the intention on what I want to achieve for the day, and who do I want to show up as. And then basically drive home. I got another smoothie, just a quick little hit. of a few different ingredients, and then listen to some music while I'm in the shower, just pump myself up. I don't know. It's like that inner athlete in me. Like I get pumped up for the day, set my intention on what I want to do, what I want to achieve, all those sorts of things. Then drive to work around 8:30.
So question here, how long does this, because that sounds like a 4-hour routine. So how long is this roughly taking so people can get an understanding of how they can fit this into their daily routines? Because there's some amazing takeaways from that. So give us an idea on how long this is taking.
Look, I purposely make it a bit longer because I love my morning. I just, before the day gets busy, I want to, I see it as, when do I wake up? 4, and then I'm at work sort of 8. So it's 4, it's essentially a 4-hour.
Wow, it is.
Routine. But that's obviously the gym and everything. When you package it up into a routine, that 4 hours is, I put it this way, there's 24 hours in a day, probably 8 of those are sleeping. So what's that you got left over? My math is whatever, 16, 18, whatever. So, and then I see 4 hours of the day, like if you say 8 hours is working, then you've really only got another 8 hours there. Oh, that's it. 3 pockets of 8. You got 8 hours sleeping. You got pretty much 8 hours of working. You can work more, but then I see it as like, well, where's me time?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I say to myself, I get 4 hours to myself every single day, minimum. Like that's non-negotiable as well. So no one gets in the way of that. I never let appointments or anything get in the way of it either. I'm really boundary strong on it. So that's how I see it is 4 hours of me time before the day even starts. So I feel like I'm in the best emotionally regulated state I can be for what's about to come, because who knows what brings a day. Yeah. Yep.
I think as well, you're making that sacrifice to wake up at 4 a.m. so that you can have that time to show up the best that you can. Because I do hear a lot of the time, I just don't have the time to do that. I've got to drop the kids off and I've got to do this and I've got to make the lunches. But there is time. It's just sacrificing. So I think that's really amazing to hear and see, is like you really value your time, and then that's how you show up the best you can for your everyday life, your business, your personal. So that's amazing.
Yeah, and like I know a few savages, they got kids, they're in there like 3 or 4 I see some at 5, but then they incorporate the kid routine. It's like kind of all packaged in. So I think just finding out what fits for you. And then on the PM, a bit of a shorter one, I'd say it'd be more around an hour and a half, 2 hours, but wrap up for the day anywhere from sort of 5 to sometimes 6:30. And then I always like to go to like a recovery. I've got one nearby called Riggs Recovery. It's a good spot. Ice bath. They got a steam room, hot pool, magnesium.
Hot and cold pools.
Yeah. So what that does for me, I don't know. I always just feel amazing, but I've heard it's just good on inflammation, all those sorts of things. Don't know. There's a lot of stuff around ice baths and that now, but I just feel amazing after I do it, and I sleep really good. So I leave there, have a really good dinner when I get home, and then do all the brush teeth, shower, all that jazz, moisturize again, nighttime moisturize.
Good.
Yep. And then I got like a little stretch routine that I'm trying to stick to at the moment, just for my hips and stuff, or use a trigger ball or something. So it's like 15 minutes of just a light stretch, and then try to relax and chill.
I do remember you saying you do a little bit of journaling though before you go to bed.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
I feel like that's quite an important part of your night routine.
I've been doing that for about 4 years straight. The journal, so writing that, just 3 wins I had for the day. That's a really important one. What I'm excited for tomorrow just plugs in the energy to get my subconscious, I guess, hits that while I sleep. And then
I love that.
Yeah, and then that will go into the last one. What did I learn today? And I always find you learn everything every day. There's always a learning, but sometimes we forget. So that's kind of a way I can try to really ingrain what I learnt and what I took away from the day and whatnot. So, I've just had this book. I've been doing it for a few years now, and that's got all my goals for the year, quarterly intentions. And I look at it, and it's about a 10-minute process, but that 10 minutes I feel is a real good anchor every single day to completely finish on that. And then that's a wrap. And those two routines, again, I feel have changed my life, and it's not for everyone, but it's definitely helped me.
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
So I think the key takeaway out of all of that is try what's best for you. Have an AM routine, and I learnt this from a lot of podcasts I listen to. The PM routine is more important than the AM routine. Because if you're getting to bed on a consistent time, your sleep's better. What happens when your sleep's better? You fall asleep straight away. Since I've incorporated these routines, I don't remember a time I've woken up with insomnia or thinking, which I used to do a lot. And then what it does, you wake up fresher. So if you could have the best morning routine, but if you ain't sleeping well, doesn't matter what's happening.
So what's your bedtime? So you're getting up very early.
My goal is 8:30.
Okay. So asleep by 8:30?
That's the goal. That's the goal. I'm doing my absolute best. I've come back. I always look how far I've come. It used to be 10, then 9:30, and now it's probably 9. 8:30 is the goal. I reckon I can get to 8, but I'll get
I reckon
there.
You can too.
Yeah, I'll get there. But hopefully that adds a bit of value on the. Sorry, that would talk about.
Yeah, it's a long.
But people love it. Hey, people love the routine chat. Eh?
And I guess people can pick and choose what they want from that as well.
100%. But yeah, PM routine probably more important than your AM routine, because you have the best AM routine, doesn't mean nothing if you ain't sleeping well.
Exactly. Some amazing tips there. Thank you. Definitely be implementing some of those into my routine. Let's get on to, what have we got? Number 4. This is a good one. What has been your biggest highlight in your life?
Oof, biggest highlight. Biggest highlight, I would say, well, obviously playing NRL. That was obviously a lifetime dream. So I got to achieve that. And also another highlight when I first seen this question was starting a business. I think that was something I always wanted to do. And then they're like accolades personally. I've got obviously a lot away from these kind of achievement things that I'm very proud of, with my personal life and family stuff and things like that. But I think just in terms of purely selfishly myself, playing NRL and starting a business would definitely be 2. Main reason is both of them, I reflected on it, both of those achievements just really were uncomfortable to get there. Super uncomfortable. And it's given me more fuel in life to be able to say, you can do whatever you want because you've proven to yourself you can do it. And I think of playing NRL, that's cool, but it was the mission from 6 years old to when I debuted when I was 20. So that's a 14-year mission.
It's a long process.
Exactly. So that is why it's a huge achievement. It's not so much the debut, which was cool. It was the 14-year journey of meeting some amazing people who I'm still friends with today, learning the art of teamwork, resilience. You get knocked down, you get back up, not making rep teams. I remember I was 15 in Townsville and I cried that I didn't make the Queensland. And it's funny, you love it. I know, and you look back. Hard. You look back now, like that's so funny. But like kids, it was such a big thing trying to make like Queensland. Definitely, I remember I cried and I was like, oh, my career's over. And then times I remember I was cheeky at 15 and I thought my career was over because I did something silly with my friends, which
I have heard that
which
story.
Was hindsight now. Playing Tiggy and the cops chased us and we got arrested for a few hours and I thought my career was over. Like those sort, my dad gave it to me and then then you get to I remember I got cut from the Titans squad. Again, I thought it was over. Went back to working. I don't know, that was it. Like working part-time whilst trying to achieve my dream and waking up at 5, work until 2, drive down to the Gold Coast, then train from 3 till 7, go home, on repeat constantly every day. And I remember being so worn out. Like, yeah, I used to get really upset and feeling depressed. Like, fire, what's this all for? You know, and then you get those little breaks and opportunities and you take them. And then, and it became, so that's why it's a huge achievement. And then with business, same thing. I feel like for 3 years, I wanted to do something for myself in the career world, especially when retiring, because I knew I had a lot to give. And I didn't know what. No one in my family's really had a business, didn't really talk to many people about it, just listened to podcasts. And same thing, just went in there, had a crack. So, so for me, it's not the destination. I always say it was the journey. That's my biggest achievement.
Wow, I really like that.
Yeah. So I think for everyone, have a reflection, because everyone's got huge achievements in their life, and it's not always the actual thing. It's like the process to get to that thing. That's my biggest achievement.
Wow. Great answer. I really like that.
Yeah, it gets me fired up.
That's really good.
And there's things I'm working on right now, and they're going to be big achievements because I'm in the process of it. Yeah. And it's hard. Yeah, it's so hard. But I know where I'm going.
Clear direction. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. So we've still got a few more.
Maybe we got one or two
just
more.
Wanted
I
had two more in mind.
Sweet.
Yeah. Let's go with personal investment goal. What's happening there?
Personal investment goal. Look, I love property. I'm very biased towards property. So I've been, on the property journey. I'm finding that's, again, everyone's got their own. There's so many different investment vehicles or ways to make wealth in this world. And I don't knock any of them, because if someone's made wealth through Avenue A versus Avenue B, well, good on them. That's awesome. For me, I understand property the best. So this isn't financial advice. It's what suited me. Love property, understand it, been passionate about it since probably 19. And I've been using that vehicle to try and build my investment portfolio. So I've been investing in a property since 22, got my first one. And then, you can listen to that journey. It's on a few different podcasts here and there. But just scaling that property portfolio to where it is today. I'm still going, but my biggest goal with the investment is, this is a big one I'm passionate about. It's not all about accumulation. You'll hear a lot of people in the property world talk around how many properties they got and all those sorts of things. It's important to accumulate, but I think debt reduction is also a key part of any portfolio as well. It's one thing I've learned from some really savvy investors, that they treat the pay down or the debt reduction phase as a key phase. And my goal is to, accumulate property, get to enough passive income without debt, with minimized debt. And the way to do that is getting strategic. And this is the journey I'm in now. I'm in the accumulation. Just secured 13th rental, which accumulates from 8 properties, soon to be 9. And I want to keep going. There's a few more left, but I'm huge on debt reduction, because again, I don't see the point on continually building. It doesn't really interest me. I think the big one is I know where I need to at least get to. And then that way, the debt reduction strategy is more around selling off certain things to pay down your crossing over property. I call it crossing over debt reduction on some cash flow properties. And that's where you really need the key to any portfolio is, you need to have a balance of capital growth, which is going to make you wealthy, but then you also need to have cash flow, because that's going to hold the property. So that's really, really key, because if right now I had just pure cash flow property, that'd be great, but I wouldn't be able to keep scaling. But if I had just purely no cash flow right now and all capital growth, negatively geared, I'd be bleeding because it's hectic at the moment. So I feel you can do both. You can, and you balance it all out. So for me, my investment goal is, I use property as a vehicle. No means financial advice. It's just for me. my goal is to accumulate, pay down debt, live off passive income, and then use that extra time in life to, do impact and do things that I enjoy. Because at the end of the day, it's not to get rich, it's to create options. That's what I feel.
Love it.
Yeah.
Incredible.
But I'm also looking at different things. I'm always sussing out. I love business now. Like, I really want to invest in the businesses and things like that. I'm learning more on that, and haven't looked into like Bitcoin or things like that. Like, it's not for me. But look, people do well in it. That's awesome. Don't knock them. I think anyone who's doing well in anything, man, it is what it is.
Working for
let
them.
them do whatever they want.
For sure. Awesome. Okay, so let's finish on probably what is my favorite question, and I think a lot of people would want to know this. Is what have we got here? What is your why?
Yeah, I know exactly who asked this as well, because he thinks the same as me. I love that question. Look,
So do I. I'm excited.
I think firstly, well, I'll give you my point of view. We've got a company why, I guess, and I guess a personal why. So I'll quickly touch on the company why, because I think in business it is important to have a why or a vision or a mission or values. We're big at our company with a vision, mission, values. You know, that's really big, like setting that. And it's not just a woo-woo thing. I've realized now that we are starting to scale and get really good people on board, that if you don't have a guiding North Star on your vision, your mission, and your values that you hold, that dictates who you recruit into your team. That dictates what decisions you make. You know, we get approached by different partnerships and different things. And if they don't align with our vision, our mission, our values, well, then it's a clear no. I think people get too excited by the shiny red dress, and it's just like, oh yeah, that sounds good, but it just sounds good, but does it actually align with you? Does it actually make sense? It's that, I don't know. It's the guiding principle, I feel. And I never used to be into that stuff, but I'm really passionate about it now in business. And for our company, a big vision for us is allowing property buyers to live a more joyful and fulfilled life. And we position it that way because it's no matter if they're an investor or an owner-occupier, they're all chasing the same thing, which is a fulfilled life, like a really joyful and fulfilled life. Owner-occupier, kids, family, lifestyle. We're in a lifestyle location here. They're chasing that fulfillment, and a home is where you go and you rest and you have family dinner, and like some of the best experiences of life are at your home. So we play a part in that. And then for investors, knowing this myself, like you can create a huge life from investing well. So we're creating a more joyful and fulfilled life for people. So that helps me and the team wake up and be like, oh, it's just more than a transaction. There's a lot more, you know, so you can be a bit more passionate. So that's more on the company. Why? Like, why are we even doing what we're doing each day? I think it's that to give people a more joyful and fulfilled life. Personally, this is something I really want to succinctly get to. I don't feel I'm there yet, and it changes every sort of 6 months and depending on what season you're in. But for me, I really feel anyone's why should be revolved around like what are their given. Everyone's got, you know, God-given talents, I feel, or things that they're really passionate about and good at. And for me, it's like I feel I want to serve that onto others to create more impact. Because at the end of the day, we only got one shot on this earth, and I feel a big why for me is being able to give what I'm passionate about and what I feel I can add some value to. I might as well not keep it a secret and try to just impact and give it away and or just help people. And that has only come from me looking up to a lot of mentors I have, and they're just very giving people. Like they're just like, yeah, what do you need? What do you want? Like they're just happy to give it their knowledge away. That makes sense. So for me, it's I think it's around what gifts do you have to provide to others to create more impact at scale. So I heard this one. It's always stuck with me. When people focus on the money, that will come out in the way they carry themselves each day, 100%. So I heard this one where if you focus on impact, the income will, you know, be a byproduct of that. So more impact equals more income. So that's one
Love
I've
it.
always held with me is the more impact you can create, the byproduct of giving your God gift talents out to the world is more income that you can reinvest into more impact. I don't know. That's what I'm noticing, the really high successful people that have got a good balance around, and they're all about service and mission and those sorts of things. So I haven't succinctly put it into a sentence, but that for me, when I really think about it, it's what have I been given and how can I create it on scale and impact others with it.
And just quickly on this, I hear you talk a lot about, is it 7 layers deep?
Oh, yeah,
I don't know if I've said that right.
Yeah.
But can you touch on that just briefly and dive into
Yeah.
that a little bit more for us?
Dean Graziosi, it was a book I read, forget Million Success Habits or something, but Dean Graziosi, a lot of people would know him. I read it from him, and it's the 7 layers deep exercise. And essentially what it is, you ask yourself why 7 times and you'll get to the root cause of why. So, for instance, like, why do I want to start a business? And it's like, well, I'm passionate about property. And then it's like, well, why? Well, I like property because when I was, 22, it was a real achievement for me to do that. Well, why was that achievement? Like for me, I'd seen my parents, they're both immigrants and, came to Australia with nothing and blah, 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 blah. Oh, why is that important? So it's just like, whoa, I want to give back. I want to show my family that, I can do this on my own. And, I want to create a life where my family, my future family will benefit. Well, why? And then you just keep layering it right down to a real solid cause. So give that exercise a go. It's called the 7 layers deep exercise. It's really helped me understand why on certain things. And what you'll find is a lot of the times the surface stuff, if you can't get to the root cause why, you'll give up. So if you just focus on the first 2 layers, not understanding what is the root cause of why you're doing what you're doing, I feel when things get tough, that's when you can give up. And because if you don't have a strong enough why for anything, I think there's no point doing it, or it's just harder to keep going.
To get into
it's just harder to keep going and push yourself. So, does that explain it?
Yeah, it does.
7
It
layers
does.
deep exercise.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to implement that. I really, really like that. It just gives you a little bit more purpose as well, because you can set what is my why, and then you kind of forget about it, and then you'll briefly, I know sometimes I'll think about it, but to really get deeper on that, I really, really love that exercise. So I definitely will be implementing that.
I do it a lot in the property world, if you can relate this to like investors, and they're like, oh yeah, I want to buy it. And like, why? Well,
They
I
probably don't
really
know
like
the
that
answer.
area, or like, why do you want to put your money there? Like, oh, well, and you get to the root cause of why they're investing, and then, or why this owner occupier wants this house so bad. And a lot of it could be, I've just come out of a traumatic relationship and I need this chapter of my life to get kickstarted. So
It's like quite deep.
So for us as a team, it's like, how motivating is that to help this person?
100%.
Not just get from A to B. It's like the why.
There's proper purpose.
There's purpose,
and
yeah.
emotion as well.
Oh,
behind it.
some of these families we've helped, like moving from Melbourne or Sydney as well, like good example. Like they were in depression during COVID, and this was their next move to start a new life with their family and get into the certain school they wanted. So that's key, is just understanding what is the why. So if you can relate that to your personal stuff as well, I think it's hard. Like not everyone is, I'm very self-reflective and things like that. Not everyone is like that, but definitely this exercise will help you become a bit more self-reflective, I think.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the questions.
That's a wrap, eh? Yeah.
that we've got, I feel.
Well, yeah. Thanks so much for all those people who submitted those ones in. If how are we going to do it? We on Instagram, every fortnight or something?
I'm thinking, fortnight, monthly. I guess we need to figure that one out.
You'll see it, the Arcs Matt series. Hopefully that's added some value. If you do want your question answered, throw it in there. I'll answer them on surface level on there, so I'm still providing value, but we'll go a little bit deeper on each question, a bit of a fresher approach. As I said, it's cool to, I think, holistically to be successful in the property industry. Our motto here is be in the know before you buy. It's not just around property. It's holistically around it could be, your health and well-being. It can be your mindset is a huge one in this industry, and to be successful in property or any field. And little light-hearted things as well. I think it's cool. I love Q&A style stuff. So yeah, keep an eye out for Arcs Matt series on the Instagram. Follow us on there, and yeah, you'll be kept up to date. But yeah, good job on debut as well, Jamila. You did really well.
That was fun. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thank you.